Well, we're all here, right? Yeah, everyone's here.
Where he is, I'm not necessarily sure.
I don't like this place one bit. Where's Monokuma? Boo! I'm here! Okay, so what are we doing here? First off, did you all enjoy that elevator ride? No, it was extremely slow and loud. Shut up. Also, the elevator music was terrible. So help me, I want to execute you so badly right now. But anyways, I need everyone right now to take a seat. And leave one seat open.
Wait, so I can't have two seats? Fatty. Call me a fatty one more time and I will break out into a musical number.
Are you idiots done bickering now? Take your dang seats before I execute all of you. Before the class trial begins, I will give you all a simple explanation of the class trial. You all will have a certain period of time to discuss who you believe did the murder. And at the end of the time, you will do a vote. If you vote the killer correctly, then hey, you win! Congratulations, you all keep living on in your killing game. And the killer will be punished. However, if you are to vote incorrectly, the killer will win and get to go free. After all, you are punished, of course. So, any other questions? Pew! Well, actually, I do. Oh, the timid dog girl has something to ask. What is it? Yes, what in heaven's name is that? Oh, that's simply just a death portrait. You see, I didn't want OJ to be left out of this trial because he was the first to die. From now on, if you die, one of those will take your place in your seat during a trial. That's a little unnerving. Just gonna ignore that, but I do have one other question. Yes, and that would be... What about a... Are you ever gonna stop falling out of chair? Shut up! What's your question? What about accomplices? Are they allowed?
That's a good question, Ma. Yeah, because you and your brother want to do a murder. Shut up.
Well, no. Yes. They are allowed, but unless the motive allows it, the only person who will get anything out of it would be the killer.
So, just accomplices are basically useless.
Yes, basically. But you can have them. They're not against the rules. So anyways, boing. Without any further ado, let the class trial begin. So, what do we begin discussing? I don't know, does anyone in here have courtroom experience? I do, very lightly though. I was in one lawsuit one time.
What on earth would you be sued for?
I was a witness. Someone was suing Tom Nook for foul practice when it come to real estate. So basically scamming people. Yes, he was found innocent, of course.
Dang, mob boss Tanuki.
He's not a mob boss.
I play enough Animal Crossing to know that guy's evil.
He gives you a house without any interest.
Shut up.
This is getting off track. Does anyone in here know where we should start at all?
Well, I do believe in a scenario like this, that, the cause of death would be the first thing we should figure out.
That's actually not a bad idea. I think discussing the cause of death first would be wise. So that's where we'll begin. What was OJ's cause of death?
So you varmints found his body in the freezer?
Yes, that is where we found him,
But what I want to know is why was his cause of death unknown?
Well, he could have died from shattering. Or... Wait, I know. He died from freezing, right? Psst, Gatorade, press X. What do you mean by press X? Just trust me. What? Why do you have a gun all of a sudden? I don't know. Surely you can disprove one of these pieces of evidence, right? Just point it at them and fire it. What? I'm not going to shoot them. Just trust me. Okay.
No, that's wrong.
What do you mean I'm wrong, Wayne?
I'm sorry, Waluigi, but I don't believe his cause of death was actually freezing. And why do you not believe it was freezing? Well, simple. The only juice of OJ's that was frozen was the stuff in the freezer. That thing was turned way down, and yet the only frozen parts were the thing in the freezer. I would suspect that nothing else would have really melted in the time that he was in there, because that refrigerator was pretty cold as well.
Well, so that means his cause of death was probably bleeding out or shattering. I'm leaning towards the shattering part, because the only actually blood that was in there was the stuff from his limbs. And, why were his limbs cut off anyways? Maybe that should be our next point of discussion. Shut up, Komori. You're just as bad as I am. You let me into the room the other day knowing I would cause trouble. I hate being wrong.
Well, I do actually believe Benny is making a good point here. Why were his limbs hacked off in the first place?
I think that should be our next point of discussion.
If you ask me, it seems kind of pointless.
It doesn't seem like there was a real point to cutting his limbs off. Maybe they just did it in the hopes that he would bleed out.
Or maybe, and it's just my pitch, it was a way of keeping him in one place.
I agree with that.
I hate to say it, but I think Komori's right here. I think the main reason they cut off his limbs were to keep him immobilized in hopes of keeping him in the freezer until they would shatter him later. So that means his cause of death was just shattering, right? I guess it's the only real thing that we have to go off of right now. So his cause of death was definitely shattering. Okay, good to know, good to know. Well, now what? We figured out what his cause of death was, but that didn't get us all that much closer to figuring out who the killer was.
Maybe it was his time of death.
He definitely died sometime at night. But, when? I'm not necessarily sure. Okay then, let's discuss time of death next.
So, his time of death is also unknown, just like his cause of death, which we've agreed on was shattering.
Which just raises the question of when did he die?
Well, if I had to guess, it was probably in the middle of the night.
I believe that it was after the movie.
Why do you say that?
Well, simple. OJ started feeling sleepy and went to bed a bit early. Which just gave the killer an opportune time to strike.
I agree with that.
I agree that it was probably after the movie. That would have given the killer plenty of time to strike. So that's two things we've cleared up. I do believe that the time of death could be important. But now that I'm actually thinking about it, I am curious about something.
And what's that?
Why did OJ randomly go to sleep? It didn't seem like there was much of a reason to. He's usually not that tired this early in the day. Well, that's a good point. Why did OJ go to sleep so early? Alrighty then, that's our next point of discussion. Chances are he was probably just feeling tired, right?
I'm not exactly getting what you're trying to say here. I mean, he was almost definitely just sleepy.
But then again, he did head off to bed at about, 9 o'clock? Maybe there was a reason he went to bed so early.
That is correct.
Wait a minute, you're onto something, Mimi. Those sleeping pills, they were empty. Those could have been used to make him fall asleep quicker. Are you telling me those were actually important? Ha! Okay, I'll admit I was wrong on that one. But the sleeping pills are the reason why...
Is that meant to be a joke or something?
Ow. Komori, what on earth are you doing? Listen, all I'm trying to say is your idea about those sleeping pills is obviously ridiculous. You don't know what you're talking about.
I guess I'll have to prove it to you.
First things first,
Here.
there was no way that they could have actually made OJ take the sleeping pills.
Well, actually,
What? They didn't have to make him take them. All they had to do was put it inside of his head. Well, surely you have no way of backing that up, right? Actually, allow me to cut through those words. Actually, Komori, as stated by Waddle-Doo in his autopsy report, there was an odd chemical in OJ's juice, which was the sleeping pills.
ha, take that, you stupid communist.
Shut up.
But actually, would that even work for, OJ? We just drop him pills in his head and make him automatically feel sleepy.
I mean, that's how I take all my sleeping pills.
Huh. So I guess that's actually right.
See, the sleeping pills are the reason why OJ went to bed early.
Yeah, sleeping pills are all good and all, but what I'm wondering is when on earth did they have the opportunity to put the sleeping pills into OJ?
That sounds awfully odd.
Don't take that one out of context, please.
But I do believe he has a good point. When did they put the sleeping pills into OJ's head? Well, I guess that should be our next argument.
So when did they put the sleeping pills into OJ's head?
Well, that's extremely simple. It had to have been before the movie. For no other reason than they couldn't have made it past Waluigi as he was at the doorway.
There's an error in your logic.
What do you mean I'm wrong, Gatorade? Are you trying to insinuate something?
Well, actually, yes, I am, Mario. Waluigi wasn't paying attention to the doorway. He was just watching the movie. We heard it from his own mouth.
And, I can actually back this one up. I heard it too.
Well, that's only two people, man. You two could just be lying.
Actually, I do believe I also heard something of that sort. I was relaxing behind the chair and managed to hear all of that. So you're saying that was actually someone important? Yep. I swear if I get proven wrong one more time.
Gatorade, are you okay? Yes, I'm very okay now. So what you're saying is, someone grabbed the sleeping pill, snuck by me, and then snuck him into OJ's head. Oh no. But how is that possible? Everyone here was at the movie. No, that's wrong. There were 3 people who were not at the movie during that time. They're the only ones. The only 3 people who had a chance to sneak those pills into OJ's head were Mimi, Komori, or Bindi.
What? You're trying to accuse me of something, you filthy commie?
All I'm saying is one of you was clearly the one who snuck those pills in OJ's head. And they were probably the same person as the person who killed OJ. But is there an actual way of us narrowing down which of the 3 it was that did the whole thing? I don't know. I'm not sure who did it. They had to have found the sword, that's what I'm sure about, but the only people who actually knew about the sword were me, Isabel, and OJ. Wait, what? Yes, but hold on, Monica make it clear us for that, right? I guess I'll do you guys one small favor. Yep, those 3 are innocent. OJ's dead, and he clearly didn't do this one himself. Isabel and Gatorade are both on that list thingy for the BDA. So, they're all clear. See? So, who could have found the sword? It doesn't make any sense.
Ow.
Isabel, are you here to argue with me too?
No, in fact, I think you've gotten pretty close to figuring out who it is. So I'm here to lend a helping hand. Okay. Just follow my logic and everything should be fine. During the investigation, we found out that the sword was gone and that anyone could have taken it at any point. However, there was a piece of evidence that could point to who took the sword. And if you're thinking the same way I am, surely you figured it out, right?
It was the dried blood.
Yes, you're correct.
Thank you, Isabel. You pointed out a very important piece of evidence to me.
No problem, but you know who found the sword, right?
In fact, I do. The one who took the sword and put the sleeping pills in OJ's head and cut his limbs off was none other than... The only one here who could have left that dried blood behind the couch and behind where the sword was none other than you. Komori, the ultimate villain.
What? Oh, how rich? You're accusing me now? Yeah. Well, here's a question, wise guy. Where'd that blood come from?
From that wound on the back of your head after Pepperman charge tackled you.
What? Oh. So you're telling me that Komori is behind this whole thing?
What the? No, I'm not behind this whole thing. I mean, evidence is pretty clear at this point. Yeah, it's pretty clear. Surely everyone doesn't think I'm the killer now, right?
I mean, the evidence seems pretty clear.
I'm not completely sure about this, though.
I think she's the killer, but I'm not sure. Ow. Why did I have to fall on hard floor? Pepsi? Nah, man, I'm just an illusion. But, it seems that you're a bit stumped in this case. So I'm here to lend you a little hand with a little minigame. Minigame? You know, a little hint in the trial if you need it. Okay, so what are we gonna be doing? You ever played Hangman Gatorade? Oh, so this will give me like a little hint if I solve it? Yep, I think you're gonna need it. Alrighty then, so you want me to just guess a letter? Yep. I'll go with A. Not a bad guess, you got 2 letters. Okay, I'll go with C. Dang, it wasn't C, S. D? Wait a minute, what happened? I messed up a little bit, don't worry about it. Alright. I? Okay, so I'm gonna guess the first word is missing, second word is BDA. What's the last word? Can I get a E? I'm fairly certain you can figure it out from here. I got it. Missing BDA name. Yep, that's correct. Now, remember this whenever you wake back up. What do you...
Yo, Gatorade. Gatorade. You fainted for a minute. You okay?
Yes. But I have learned something pretty important. You were asleep for 1 minute. How could you possibly... Wait a second and hear me out, Balmy. I do agree that Komori was behind the majority of the case. That I'm fairly certain of. Where are you going with this? But then I ask you, who was the last person on that BDA list thingy?
What are you getting at, you filthy commie?
What I'm getting at, Bendy? That's simple. There's one missing name on that BDA list. Who is it? Huh?
Well, dang, you actually got a good point there.
So now I ask you, why wouldn't they come forward saying that they were the last person on this BDA list? Unless they had a good reason to. That's why I think the last person on the list is none other than Komori.
What? You're trying to say she's innocent all of a sudden? Where did this come from?
Gatorade, you can't be serious, right?
Actually, Noctis, you're mistaken. I'm dead serious right now, and I have evidence to back up my theory.
What do you mean you have evidence?
Say, Cuphead, do you still have those 2 shards of paper on you?
Well, yeah, I got him right here. Why?
Thank you. What on earth are those? They're messages we found behind OJ's bed. Both of them are written in orange juice. On one of them, there's an F written. My theory about Komori finding the sword and doing the majority of this case is correct, then that probably stands for female. And that's likely an 11, which would probably stand for a K of the alphabet.
Yes, and where are you going with this?
An F and a K. A female whose name starts with a K.
That could be no one else than Komori. Huh?
Then I ask you, who wrote these messages? It couldn't have been OJ, because we have already established that his limbs were cut off and these were behind his bed. Why would Komori purposely point fingers towards herself with these notes? It doesn't make sense. Meaning that someone else was in that room, whose identity we don't know yet.
Well, yeah, so what about them? Those could have just been left as a red herring by her to try to point suspicion off of herself.
I have one last piece of evidence, however, that can maybe point to her not being completely guilty in all this.
And that would just so happen to be?
Simple. The Monokuma file, and that burnt piece of glass on OJ's face.
What about it? It's just a burn.
But my question is, how on earth did Komori cause that burn mark? She doesn't have fire abilities as far as I know. Meaning that she likely wasn't the one that finished OJ off. Someone else did that.
Alright, beautiful!
Ow. Oh. Dang it, not again. Wario, you don't believe me, do you?
All I'm trying to say is that burnt piece of glass means nothing. It's just a burnt piece of glass. It's not that important, wha?
I guess I'll have to prove it to you.
Here we go. That burnt piece of glass means nothing. It was just in the refrigerator. Sure, it's burnt, but that doesn't mean anything.
Well, it would mean something. Wario, I believe you're wrong on that one. I believe that burnt piece of glass is in fact extremely important.
But what importance could it possibly have, wha?
Well, it's quite simple. I believe it's a part of the murder weapon.
What? That's so incorrect. The murder weapon wasn't a hammer.
But I actually do.
Oh, ow.
Wario, I have a huge issue with that. I don't think the hammer's the murder weapon at all.
There's no way you can back that one up.
Forgive me for this. Allow me to cut through those words.
Wah! Wario.
That was a lot tougher than the first one.
What? It's a burnt piece of glass. It can't be all that important. I mean, yeah, it's just a burnt piece of glass. Why is that so important?
I don't believe what I'm hearing right now.
What are you saying right now? You're saying that she's actually innocent in all this? Are you kidding me? No, I don't believe it.
Yeah, Gatorade, what do you mean that mallet wasn't the murder weapon? It was the only thing in there that could have actually shattered OJ. What are you getting at? My issue with the mallet being the murder weapon is simple. The only thing that was actually on it at all was blood. There was no orange juice on it at all. If it was, say, used to shatter OJ, then there would have been then there would have been orange juice covering the entire thing instead of just laying in a pool of blood. Dad, does that explain anything to any of you?
I guess that would work. So that mallet's not the murder weapon then. Then what is?
That's what I'm not necessarily sure about.
This seems insane, though. We're actually just gonna clear Komori of all her wrongdoings?
No, she is guilty in this, but she wasn't the one that finished him off. But now, I would like to hear her side of the story. I've done all this work to defend her. Let's hear her try to defend herself for a little bit.
Huh? Explain yourself, that's what he's saying. What do you mean, explain myself?
I want to hear your side of the story. I know you did in fact cut his limbs off and put him in the freezer. But how about you explain to me exactly what happened after that?
Okay, fine, you got me. Yes, I was the one that did the majority of this case. But you also are correct about that BDA list thingy. Yeah, I'm the last person on it.
But what's your side of the story? That's what he's asking, after you left the room.
Simple. Came back a little bit later, and Glass Boy was already shattered completely.
That's barely enough information for anything, Weh?
What? If I knew who the killer was, don't you think I would have spoken up at this point?
Probably not, considering how you are mostly guilty.
Shut up. But if what she's saying isn't a lie, then who had a chance to actually kill OJ?
That's a good question. I'm not necessarily sure. I think about
Anyone here could be guilty.
everyone here is a suspect. But wait a minute, that burn mark and everything. I think I actually know who the killer is.
You do?
Yes, I think I know.
Well then tell us.
I will. Everyone, I believe the killer to be
It can be only you.
I hate to say it, but I don't think it can be anyone else. I believe the killer behind all of this is none other than you. Cuphead, the ultimate gambler.
Oh, I get it. It's a joke. That's not very funny, Gatorade. Who's the actual killer?
It's no joke, Cuphead. I think you are the killer.
What? Why are you suspecting me all of a sudden? This came out of nowhere. What do you mean?
Komori, if you don't mind me asking, when did you leave OJ's room?
Well, probably about 1 or 2 minutes after the movie finished. Why do you ask?
If you all remember correctly, Cuphead was the last one to leave the room, because he was shutting off the lights and the television, meaning he had every chance to hear Komori, make that message, and everything else. Finish off OJ and write the message. That's all he had to do.
No. Cuphead, are you okay? No. What do you think, Mellowetta? I'm being blamed for a murder I didn't even commit. No, I'm not okay. Ooh. Okay, then. You know what? I know there's a simple thing that you can't prove. Gatorade, you can't actually believe I'm the killer of this, right? I'm not the actual killer.
Well, why are you becoming so flustered all of a sudden? How about you actually come up with a defense for yourself, Cuphead?
I was taken so by surprise, I don't even know how to defend myself against this. You know what? If you really want to blame me for everything, Gatorade, then take your best shot.
Here's a real high-class bout.
I honestly can't believe you, Gatorade. You're just going out of the blue and blaming me like this, aren't you? You don't even have an actual reason to blame me. I can't believe you. I thought we were actual friends. We were nice to each other, and now you're just blaming me for murder. Something that Waddle-Doo could have done. Any of us could have done it. And now you're stooping as low as to blame me for it. But why? Why? You don't have a single good reason, do you? Okay. Maybe I could have killed OJ on my way back. Sure. But, I wasn't the one that did it, alright? I wasn't behind anything, okay? I could barely speak straight because I'm so upset right now. That's it. Let's go. And even worse, you're saying I planted evidence against Komori. That's completely ridiculous. Yeah, that's completely ridiculous. I didn't do that. I definitely did not do that. But you know what? There's one single thing that I know you can't solve. Okay. If I really am the killer, then how on earth did I cause that burn mark on OJ's face?
It ends here, Cuphead.
No!
Knockout!
It's simple, Cuphead. You destroyed him with your charge shot.
No. Come on. Surely there's something I can defend myself with.
Cuphead, I can't believe you.
You actually killed OJ. But why?
Why would you do this? What even led you into his room in the first place?
Okay, that's it. Yes, I confess. Yep, I did it. As I was walking back from the movie, I did run into Komori. I hid until she passed. And after she passed, I realized that OJ's door was slightly open, so I looked and tried to see and make sure everything was fine, and that spot of OJ on the ground told me it wasn't. So I walked in, and there was no saving him. So I decided to put him out of his misery there and then. Then I ripped those red herrings in the hopes that you would actually fall for him. Yep, I did it. Wow, someone actually confessed. Wasn't expecting that one, folks. Quite the plot twist.
Gatorade, could you do me a favor and wrap this all up for me?
I guess I can. This is the truth of the case. The beginning of this trial starts with Bindi, surprisingly. After being angered by Wario and Waddle-Doo, he decided not to lock the door so that Komori would have an easy way in if she wanted in. Bindi then just simply went back to his room, not thinking anything about it. Realizing the golden opportunity that she had, Komori decided to capitalize on it by going into the main room to cause trouble. And cause trouble she most certainly did. After being charge-tackled by Pepperman, she ran off and declared revenge on all of us. She then proceeded to hide behind the chest drawer in the other room, hoping to find something and make sure that her head was alright. But while hiding, she saw the sword and began to devise a plan. In the meantime, the actual killer of the case, who was sick of being a guard, challenged both Wario and Waluigi to a game of cards to see who would be the actual one to guard that night. In which the killer ended up winning handily. However, in that mess, Waluigi ended up being the one left with guarding duties. Nothing else interesting really happened until during the movie, in which Mimi decided to get up and go grab herself some sleeping pills so she could go to sleep due to her being bored. After Mimi left, Komori had an amazing opportunity to get to the sleeping pill cabinet. Due to no one actually paying attention to her, she did this without anyone seeing her. After she got the sleeping pill, she waited for Luigi to turn his head, and then she made a move, dashing behind the chair and hiding for the time being. As the movie went on, she slowly made her way farther and farther back.
She had then successfully snuck her way around the back of the chair, and all she had to do was make one last dash behind the couch.
Due to there being a huge blind spot, she made it there without any struggles. She then proceeded to climb her way onto the back of the couch and wait for no one to be paying attention. She then took her opportunity and dropped 3 sleeping pills down in OJ's head and hopped back over. After all that, all she had to do was make her escape, which was even easier the second time. After all that, she quietly set the sleeping pill bottle down and sprinted off back to OJ's room. Komori then proceeded to wait behind OJ's door and just hide with the sword. Due to the sleeping pills making OJ feel extremely sleepy, he then proceeded to walk back into his room shortly after. And then Komori struck. Knocking OJ unconscious and spilling orange juice on the ground, Komori then grabbed OJ's body and the sword and ran immediately to his freezer. The very first thing she did was she took the sword and began cutting OJ's limbs off. After that job was done, she set the sword down, opened up the freezer, and placed OJ inside of it. She then grabbed the sword, closed the freezer, and then ran off to hide the sword. She then simply waited for everyone else to get back to the rooms before she would then again leave to go back to her room and hide. After what she thought was everyone was out of there, she then left. However, what she didn't account for was the actual killer of this case hearing her leaving. They were a bit late getting to sleep because they had to turn the lights off because everyone else left early. The killer then waited for Komori to get back to their room and realized OJ's room was open, so they decided to investigate. As they entered OJ's room, they immediately noticed something, a patch of orange juice on the ground, immediately telling them that something was wrong. The killer then dashed inside to make sure everything was okay. Not seeing OJ anywhere, they then decided to look in the last place they could think of. The freezer. Opening it slowly, they saw OJ's limbs. They then decided to open the freezer, in which they found OJ himself. Realizing that there was nothing they could do, the killer decided to fire a charge shot at OJ to put him out of his misery. It shattered him instantly. The killer then immediately, realizing that they had done something terrible, they realized they needed to try to pin it on someone else. Then they decided to pin it on the one person who they knew was guilty, Komori. Using orange juice from OJ, the killer began writing 2 notes and put them at the end of a trail of torn up paper. After everything was done, the killer then immediately dashed out of the room. A while later, after grabbing a hammer, Komori then re-entered the room, preparing to finish what she had started. However, after opening the freezer, Komori realized something horrifying. Someone else had already done the job before her. Panicking, she then took the hammer, put it back in the freezer, and then slammed the door, and then proceeded to leave the room as fast as they could. Hoping that no one else would figure out who they were, Komori then left the room and went back to sleep. While yes, Komori is guilty in the majority of the case, the one who actually murdered OJ could be none other than you. Cuphead, the ultimate gambler. It can only be you.
Yep, it's all correct. Every last bit of it as far as I can guess.
Well then, with all that complete, I do believe it is voting time! Ding ding ding, that is correct! And now that you have voted the killer correctly, I do say it's about time for their punishment, eh?
Whoa, what do you mean punishment, Wei? Yeah, I played your stupid game, so I should be let free, right?
Oh, no, Cuphead. I do think you misunderstand me, my friend. You need to win a trial to escape here. And what you did was, not what I was hoping for. You lost a trial, you see. And the punishment for losing a trial is quite simple. Execution.
You're saying you're getting ready to execute him? Where is this coming from all of a sudden?
Maybe I deserve this.
What do you mean, Wei?
Maybe I deserve this. I did kill OJ, so
Maybe I deserve this.
Are you kidding me? No. If anyone, it should be Komori getting this. You didn't do anything all that wrong.
Well, the guy then tried to put the murder on the one that was mostly responsible for it in the hopes that all you would vote wrong. Yeah, I did do something pretty bad. We gonna get to the whole punishment thing or what?
I say, do you ever shut up, Komori?
But I'm the ultimate villain. I don't know what you were expecting from me.
Well. With all that over with, I do believe it is about time for the punishment of the ultimate gambler, Cuphead. So without any further ado, let's get this started. It's punishment time!
Knockout!
That was horrifying. What on earth was that?
No, my friend. After what poor OJ went through, I think this was the very least that little cup deserved. You may all now head back to your rooms. The trial is over after all. So anyways, I'll be taking my leave now. Ta-ta, boing.
He didn't fall off of his chair for once. This is a moment in history.
What? What now? Cuphead's dead.
That was completely horrific, even for me. Yeah, well, that was boring. Later, suckers.
So help me, I want to kill her so badly right now. Pepperman, the last thing we need is an air trial. You're right.
I stood there in a stunned silence for at least three or 4 minutes. Just standing there in shock and horror. Until Noctis approached me.
What now? What? Gatorade, man. I think we should head off. Noctis, what do you mean we should just head off now? Everyone else is already gone. It's just you and me left here. I stayed for a little while to make sure you were alright, man.
The entirety of that elevator ride was silent. We didn't speak at all. Or at least I didn't. I wasn't paying enough attention to notice anything. The moment I got back to my room, I went back to sleep. I didn't sleep at all. My mind was racing too fast. Are we really just in this killing game to be slaughtered? Will any of us escape? Is there any hope at all for any of us? That's something I'm not sure on. But one thing I am sure on is that any hope any of us had